Hi, this is Nick Majors, and welcome to Ghosts of the Cartel, Confessions of a Cartel Insider.
Rolling up his dash like narcos. She bags Pablo. In the studio with my man Carlos. Anybody ask, I'm off to Lagos. Exploding all the lies, call a mega man.
A plane used to smuggle cocaine. It has been damaged by police actions that were becoming more frequent every day, the result of the growing U.S. war on drugs. Escobar would hire U.S. technicians to maintain his fleet and teach his own men.
I'm going to turn the
gas on.
valves
Did you have it
off.
off?
Take a little sample out of the right hand.
Hold up there. Who's that young man on the left? Hi, everyone. So here I am, some 37 years later in December 2023. And yep, that was me. Unfortunately, this was also me about a year later on the front page of the Miami Herald when I got set up and arrested by the DEA. You see, the U.S. government had this crazy idea that I could wear a miniature GPS back down to Medellin and trigger the device when I was with Pablo Escobar or when he was nearby, and they could just swoop down and arrest him. It was insane, but they indirectly offered me $3 million to go along with, implement, and execute that plan for them. Obviously, I wanted nothing to do with that, or for that matter with the U.S. government, so they proceeded to set me up with this bust in Fort Lauderdale. All I did was go to a hotel room and show some people how to find a landing strip in Colombia, and I ended up facing 4 federal charges, each one carrying a minimum mandatory 25 years to life. That's right, 4 life sentences for pointing something out on a map. I ended up spending 13 months in a federal penitentiary under pretrial detention, meaning no bail, while the government did everything they could to delay the trial and pressure me to cooperate with them, which I would not do. No bail. Murderers get bail, but not me. Eventually, the chief district judge dismissed all charges for prosecutorial delay. I never did get to trial, but just as soon as I was released, left the States, and returned to Canada, the prosecutors went back to the judge and somehow convinced him to let them re-indict me on the exact same charges. What that meant is that for the next 25 years, I had a federal warrant outstanding for my arrest that prevented me from entering the United States or conducting business and traveling almost anywhere else in the world. Let me tell you, once the U.S. government decides they want to get you, they don't let up easy. But now, after 40 years of looking over my shoulder, I'm ready to talk, tell my story, and share it with you. There's been an awful lot of water under the bridge and a lot of life lived since those days. But one thing that survived my past are the memories of the people I dealt with and the adventures that I lived in a world and a lifestyle that really doesn't exist anymore. I can't say that I'm proud of everything I've ever done, but I can also tell you that there's not an awful lot I'm ashamed of either. Before we get started, let's have a quick overview of who I am, how I got here, and what I hope to accomplish. I have very few regrets about the ups and downs of life. In honesty, I've been on the winning side much more than most. So I've been pretty fortunate in life, and I've earned and then spent or lost tens of millions of dollars. Much of that in the drug business, a lot of it from outside. One of the biggest lessons I've learned can be summed up by Ray Liotta when he was playing George Young's father in the movie Blow. He told his son, sometimes you're flush and sometimes you're bust. When you're up, it's never as good as it seems. And when you're down, you think you'll never be up again. But life goes on. Money isn't real. It doesn't matter. It only seems like it does. I've learned over the years that money changes your life, but it doesn't change your worth. I sometimes wish that everyone had all the money they'd ever wanted or lost all the money they ever had so that they could learn themselves firsthand just how true that is. Worked for about a decade in the business, mostly as a co-pilot with Mike, and then as a facilitator and project manager for the Colombians. Those who played a really big part in my life and my world during the 1980s included my partner and good friend Mike Little, who was truly a remarkable man, but ended up assassinated by unknown gunmen in Santa Cruz, Bolivia, when he turned informant for the DEA. Pablo Escobar, a huge impact on my life, largely because of who he was and my involvement with him, his family, and his businesses. His brother and right-hand man, Roberto, my host when I was in Medellin, living there for a few months in 1986. He now manages various Pablo Escobar tours and museums in Medellin, along with a few other interesting and unusual businesses and enterprises. Carlos Lehder, fascinating contact that I met shortly before he was arrested and extradited to the United States. Young Aguilar, one of Pablo's most trusted sicarios. Later on, I'll tell you about the day I almost burned down his grandmother's house. Harold, our main contact, who introduced Mike and I to the Colombians after we worked with him for a few years. His man, who I'll call Dougie the Snitch, who played a small but important part in these adventures. Bolivian lawyer Nando Gutierrez, who gave Mike and then me our start in Bolivia. He was the son of notorious and legendary drug lord Alfredo Cutucci Gutierrez. Nelson, who was Harold's partner in Miami and his link to the Escobars. And finally, my childhood and lifelong friend Alan, who was with me through much of those times. When it all came to an end in the early 1990s, I came back to Canada and had to start all over again from the bottom. All my money was gone. Most of my contacts were either dead or in jail. So I had to find a way to just drag myself up by my bootstraps and get going again. So, enough of the proselytizing, word of the day. Let's get on with it. We got a lot of material to cover. So let's just get our fancy smuggler's cap put on and release the Kraken and welcome everybody to the new Ghosts of the Cartel channel.